It's happened to me about, I would say, a dozen times. Usually from far off, though, and often when I'm in a location where there are a lot of people. The one time, though, that it really bothered me was I was outside of school doing an interview, and a little boy came up and yelled it and then ran away. And he couldn't have been more than 9 or 10 years old. And he thought it was so funny. And it just bothered me that a young boy that age would be saying that to a woman and thinking it's hysterically funny. I really wish I could have known who his mother was to have a conversation with her about it. I just always want to say to these people who yell it, would you say that to your mother, your sister, your girlfriend? Why do you think this is funny? Because it's not funny. Would you say it to a work colleague? Would you say it to a stranger on the street who wasn't holding a microphone? I mean, I'm assuming the answer would be no. So why is it okay? Like, what is it that makes them think that this is okay? Because it's a verbal assault. It just is, pure and simple. It's a verbal assault. And it doesn't make, I mean, we're reporters. We know we need to be tough. We know we need to let things roll off our backs. But there's something really wrong about this because it does feel like an assault. I think talking about it is the best way. I mean, if we keep it in a dark closet and nobody's talking about it openly, I think it will continue. But I think we have to expose it and really tell people this is not cool. And what's sad is apparently we do have to tell people that it's not cool.
I knew there was a chance that it was going to happen to me during a live hit because it happened to some of my fellow reporters, and then it did. It was opening night of TIFF. It kind of came out of nowhere, completely unexpected. In the moment, I laughed it off, but moments after that, I thought, why didn't I address it in that live hit? Why didn't I talk to that person and pull them aside and ask them why they were doing it? I was absolutely disgusted by it, humiliated by it. And would they have said that in another scenario, perhaps to another female in their life, a mother, a sister, an aunt? And what were they looking to gain? And the fact that it continues to happen tells me that we've got an even bigger issue on our hands.
It happens to men as well. It's shocking when it happens. It catches you off guard. It's disgusting. Anger. You get lots of emotions go through your mind. It's happened to me a few times. I remember one particular story. I was at a homicide scene in Mississauga in a business district, and this guy kind of hid and lurked behind the bush and waited for me to go live, and then ran screaming by me and screamed it at me, shocking me. And I guess he got his desired reaction from me, but you know, I find it, you know, for my female colleagues and for female reporters and journalists, you know, across North America, it's sexual harassment, and it's disgusting and it needs to stop. It's extremely offensive, and you know, this happens in our workplace. And if this was to happen in a regular workplace, in someone's office, it would be considered sexual harassment, and I think police need to do something about it.
I was live on location for the World Cup final, Argentina versus Germany. I was with upset Argentina fans who had just watched their team lose. And I was doing a self-contained live hit because Natalie Duddridge had done a live interview the week before, and some fan blurted out that sentence. So I was live on location doing my thing. Some guy runs in from the street, pulls my mic towards him, and blurts out that sentence. I was horrified. My message to all those who think it's funny, it's not. Imagine me going into your place of employment and saying that. Would you appreciate it?
On many occasions, I've actually heard people shouting these profanities. Most oftentimes, it's when we're reporting here in the field and people are shouting it from a car that's driving by, so it's hard to identify who's doing it. But most recently, I heard it while we were shooting a stand-up in front of the camera, and when I turned around, to my surprise, it was a child I would peg at about between 9 and 10 years old. So I actually told him how inappropriate it was. I don't think he really understood the full scope of what it could mean, and I asked for an apology. He actually apologized and walked away. But again, I was very surprised to see that the person shouting it was about 10.
So the last time I had an F-er and the P, as we call them, I was doing a live hit on Yonge Street. I was about to throw to my story about Mark Saunders being named the new chief of police, and I could see a man coming from the corner of my eye toward me, and I could feel that it was going to happen, and sure enough it did. He did it. And what was just more upsetting about that is that my story aired and I was about to come back up live again to sign off, and I could see him coming back again. And I had about 5 seconds before I was live to give him a piece of my mind, really, to tell him not to do it, and it worked. He didn't do it again. But what was more upsetting about that is that it wasn't a 15-year-old boy. He was probably a 35-year-old man with other men around him, a grown man doing this stuff to women on the street. It is just so upsetting, and we really need it to stop.
Well, hands down, I'd have to say my worst experience with this so far would have to be the TFC home opener from last night. We were setting up to do a live hit, and just crowds of men were walking through the shots. They thought we were live. At that point, we were, but they were just hurling at me, over the crowd. They were laughing, thinking it was hilarious. I was panicking leading into my live hit. I had high anxiety. It took 2 security guards to keep these hooligans away from me. I considered canceling the hit, but at the same time, this isn't something, that should affect my job like this. So my message to you, or all I really want to say, is just think about how you treat people. Think about how you make people feel, especially women. Making a woman feel embarrassed and degraded isn't cool. So just keep that in mind and have some respect.